Hi, my Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising friends. Sandra from ForYourG.com. We are here today to do your first 6 houses of your 12-house spread, the Wheel of Life, for February 2022. Thank you so much for being here with me. I apologize for having a cough drop in my mouth. It seems that in the dead of winter, when we have the fireplace going, it just sucks the moisture out of my air and dries my throat out, and then I can't speak very clearly, so we're going to try it this way. Your first house. Oh, and if you haven't watched last month, let me just make a little announcement that the first 6 houses will be for free here on YouTube. Houses 7 through 12 will be contained in the description box, link below. Follow me on Patreon for that. Okay. Firm foundations is where you're at right now in February. You're feeling very good about what you've done in the past and where you currently are. You've laid the groundwork for what you're going to do next, Sagittarius. Now, I'm using a brand new Oracle deck. I've had this deck for many moons, but I've never used it in these videos. Let me just show it to you. The Wisdom of the Hidden Realms, Colette Baron Reed, Oracle. I love this deck. For some reason, I didn't keep it with the rest of my cards, and it was by itself, and it was peeking at me in a suitcase, strangely enough. And I just knew that I had to go get it for these readings. Now, typically, you are supposed to read this deck inverted, but when I was spreading out the cards for the first reading that I did, I was told not to do that, and really only Colette Baron Reed would make a deck that you, Oracle, that you read inverted, right? So we're not going to read it inverted. The advice card of this Oracle deck is the High Lady of Love and Compassion, Reverence, Kindness, and Consideration. So you are feeling generous as you're at the beginning of February, and you know, it's important to, and I said this in the Scorpio reading in a different way, to really, if you can, go out and do a small act of kindness every day. It can be something small. Paying forward a cup of coffee. Smiling at someone, giving them a compliment. I know a lot of Sagittarians, and I'm not trying to dog on you by any means, but it can be very difficult to get any compliment out of a Sag. So if a Sag compliments you, you must know that that compliment is completely true and heartfelt. But, you know, a small compliment. You like their shoes. Their hair looks great. I mean, you know, get creative with it. But regardless, you're feeling good coming into February, and that's what counts. Now, we have big news here in the House of Money and Stuff. You pulled the Karma card, so something big is happening here. And for most of you, this is going to involve paperwork. You have the Ringmaster of Scrutiny, and he has what appears to be a magic wand, but he's holding an open book and he's pointing the wand to the paper. This card talks about discernment and clear vision and details. So, let me just say this. If there's anything that you have to sign, paperwork, settlements, insurance deals, business deals, this could even be an inheritance that's coming to you that perhaps you don't have to sign off on it, but there's something about reviewing the details thoroughly. And if this is major paperwork that someone is tossing in front of you and saying, hey, I need you to sign this, you're going to need a very qualified lawyer to look at it. Okay? And it's not going to be a cheap lawyer. You're going to want to get someone that you trust, especially because Mercury is retrograde for the next 3 weeks. As I'm recording this in the middle of January, you know, you're really going to want to watch out for those Mercury retrograde dates because There could be something in the details that you're not understanding. And you really need to understand those details, Sag. Okay? I'm also hearing this could have to do with a land contract. Now, it's very rare to have a land contract in this day and age, but if it fits you, it fits you. Okay, we have the third house, your brother and sister. Now, the third house does also rule communication. I don't always say that because a lot of times it doesn't have to do with communication in the particular message that I'm giving, but this time it does. I feel like this is more about your communication and what you're experiencing communication-wise than I do that it is your brother or sister, okay? This is a confusion card. You are confused. Other people may be sending you mixed messages. They may be saying one thing and doing another, and if that's the case, you're going to have to get to the bottom of it. And especially if you deal with a lot of communication at work. You're going to make sure if it's an important message that you are trying to convey or relay to someone, that you either verbalize it in a phone call or Zoom call or chat, whatever that happens to be, and then summarize it in an email. Make sure it's both. Doesn't matter which order, okay? What's the advice card here? The Horse King, assistance and control. So this is definitely a moment to control yourself, Sag. Don't hold your horses, okay? Don't let your communication get away from you. Oftentimes, Sag can get a wild hair up your fanny, and all of a sudden you are diarrhea of the mouth. Don't do it. Hold your horses back here. You do have assistance. You have angelic assistance, and there's going to be assistance that shows up in the form of physical help, and that could be because of the divine. You could have called that help in. It's available to you. You need to ask for it, okay? You're going to be fine, but you also have to learn to control yourself in this instance. I'm not saying every day because I know how you are. That's just the way that you're wired. No blame, no judgment, okay? Now, your fourth house, your house of home, you have patience. This is where you currently live. There is something that you need to be patient with. Perhaps you are wanting to do a project, home improvement, or you're wanting to move, or you're wanting to get organized. You know, it's going to take time. It's going to take probably longer than you had imagined. Now, if you're saying, well, no, there's nothing going on in my home, you know, it's just the same old, same old. This could be your father or father figure. He may need to be patient at this time as well. What's the advice card here? The Wise Woman of Wonderland, integrity and compromise. Okay, integrity and compromise. So, if this is a home project or moving or something like that, it's going to call from compromise by your partner, for those of you that are coupled and living together, because they have just as much say in it as you do. This could also be if you have to deal with a contractor or something like that. Bless you if that's you, because I would not have to want to deal with that in this environment. It's just too stressful. Okay. Or your father may need to compromise and keep his integrity high as well at this time. Okay. Now, your fifth house, socialization and fun, recognition and reward, pat yourself on the back for a job well done. This could also be for those of you single Sagittarians. This is your dating life. So you're definitely getting some dating action. It's not boring here. You know, this could be you could actually be recognized in a social setting that you get invited to, I'm hearing. Like people actually maybe physically patting you on the back because of something that you've just recently done in a social group setting. Very good. Now the Shadow Queen is here. This card talks about acquiring knowledge, insecurity, and manipulation. I feel like, Sag, that this is you needing to ignore the nasty voice on your shoulder. So and I'm just giving you an example. If you are the receiver of this message, where you go out and people are congratulating you, and you hear this tiny little voice or thought, doesn't have to be auditory, that says, but you're not good enough, or something to that effect. I feel like that is the Shadow Queen at work, and you're going to have to dismiss that voice and replace it with something else. Now, this can be very difficult for someone, and so many of you, that have had this sort of negative self-talk your entire life, right? It's going to be important to recognize it, banish it forever, and you might need to say it out loud. I banish you, voice, forever. Negative voice, be very specific. I mean, you want to keep your own voice, right? But I think you guys get what I'm coming at here, what I'm laying down here. Okay, 6th house, work and health. I love it. This is the 10 of Cups in traditional tarot. It means happy life, happy family. Now, this is not in the house of family. This is in the house of work and health, but still, this is a good time. Health looks good. Work looks good. What do we have here? In the advice card, the web weaver, synchronicity, divine intelligence, cause and effect. Now, the web weaver is definitely a workhorse. You are not a lazy Sagittarian. You are a Sagittarian that works very hard for what you have. Yes, you have extra luck because Jupiter rules you. And however much Jupiter you have depends on how much Sagittarius you have in your chart. Some of you have a lot, some of you have a little. It just depends. But regardless, you are working for it, and you are going to reap the rewards of that. I feel like there's something else in here. Cause and effect, yes. So, going back to this, it's going to be important to withhold that that tongue lashing. Get your mind out of the gutter. You guys know what I'm talking about. Because you are reaping and you are sowing this month. More so than usual. Okay? All right, we're almost to the extended reading, but before we do that, I always look at the signs that came up in your 7th house of relationship to see what kind of signs are around you, especially for those of you that are single. We have Cups twice, so that's a Scorpio, which would be super hot in the sheets. Pisces, Cancer. You also pulled Swords here, which is air sign. So that's Aquarius, that's Libra, and that's a Gemini. Or they could have any of those aspects in their chart. Could be Venus, could be their rising or moon. So make sure you're checking their chart. And I will continue this reading in the extended. If you want to check me out, follow me in the links below. It's on Patreon. Many blessings to all of you Sagittarians out there.